Welcome to YGB4 Newscast. Today, we have a special broadcast for all our viewers. Today will be a Vietnam War special. We have inside info and all the angles of the most controversial war in American history. We have special coverage of the history of the war and the two opposing viewpoints. The student and the anti-war movement are in full swing. Now, let's head over to Austin Steinhardt.
Thank you, Juan. The Vietnam War began on December 1956, but the U.S. did not enter the war until the Gulf of Tonkin incident in 1964. The main goal of the Vietnam War was to stop communism, as Eisenhower described it as the domino effect. If one country fell to communism, the rest of South Asia would. The Viet Cong, the National Liberation Front, was a South Vietnamese communist group that was aided by the North, and their main fighting tactics was the unconventional guerrilla warfare. Protests have gathered all around the country opposing the Vietnam War. Protests have been in front of colleges and around the country. These protests are reaching outstanding numbers due to college enrollment rates increasing from the so-called baby boom after World War II. Movement against involvement in Vietnam began in 1964, though strength in these movements has grown as the war in later years. Many of these peace movements were students, mothers, or anti-establishment hippies. Most oppositions were peaceful and nonviolent, although a few aimed to be more violent. By 1970, most Americans believed that involvement in Vietnam was a mistake. Thousands of young Americans are being drafted into the Vietnam War, and this is another reason that many students are enrolling in college. If students are in college, then they can no longer be eligible to be entered into the draft. And that's our quick overview of the Vietnam War. Back to you, Juan.
Cal Berkeley, there was an anti-war protest. There was thousands of students protesting the war, going against what our nation's actions inside of Vietnam. So let's throw it to Austin, and he'll let us know what's going on.
Thank you, Juan. This is Austin Steinhardt again with Lucy Rose.
Lucy Rose.
And she's a student. Can you tell me more, please?
I'm a student at Cal Berkeley, and I'm also a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
So we're here at the student protest here today. Can you tell me what you guys are protesting against, please?
We want the government to withdraw U.S. troops from Vietnam. We should no longer be in this Vietnam War.
And why is this?
There's no sign of victory for the U.S. We've all been gathering around the television, watching the horrors of war through new technology, and it is not fair. My brothers, sisters, and best friends are fighting in this hell of a jungle in Vietnam.
But what about the threat of communism?
That is not our place to intervene. It is a civil war between North and South Vietnam that we do not need to be involved with.
And what about the draft? Can you talk a little bit how your feelings?
It is unfair. The only people who are being drafted are the lower and middle class. Somehow the rich always get not drafted.
Many Americans have been saying that the funds that are going toward the wars could be used to improve our country in other ways. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely agree. We need the money here in order to end poverty. And the war.
You heard it here first.
And the war.
Thank you.
And the
Back
war.
to you, Juan.
And the war.
Although there are many that oppose the U.S. actions in Vietnam, there are also many that support it. Let's check in with Austin Steinhardt, and he'll let us know what's going on. Austin.
Thanks, Juan. This is Austin Steinhardt with YGB4 News, and this is
John Smith.
here with us today. And sir, do you support the war?
Why, of course, Austin, I do support the war.
All right, and why do you support the war, sir?
Well, we need to stop all those commies in Vietnam. We must protect the world from communism and contain communism before it spreads. Like Eisenhower had said, if it's a domino theory, and once Vietnam falls to communism, then its next spread to Laos, Cambodia, and Thailand will fall. Sorry, I don't know how to say those Asian countries' names. We don't want all those commies ruling the world, do we? So we must fight to protect, not to have communism in Vietnam. Though this war is winnable and is part of the benign U.S. foreign policy, this is why I support it.
And what do you think of the student protests and what they're calling themselves as the Doves?
Well, I think that's not really a good name for them. I think it's ridiculous that all these people have no patriotism and that the government doesn't know what they're doing. Especially don't like all these young kids protesting. It's so disrespectful, and American soldiers are out in combat dying every single day. And these kids are saying how causing the growing war is bad, and the war is hurting the United States' chances of winning. The one-sided criticism of the media led to the decline of public support for the war and is going to make us lose the war. William F. Buckley wrote about how the United States is timid and if not cowardly in refusing to seek victory in Vietnam. And this is exactly correct.
Well, you heard it here first. YG4 News. Back to you, Juan.
Thank you, Austin. Well, folks, you heard it here first. This ends our special coverage of the Vietnam War. Please tune in tomorrow for Aunt Patty's and Aunt Salma's bathtub gin making process. Thank you for tuning in to YGB4 News. Have a fantastic day.